Hi, I'm Dennis O'Brien, president of PECO. Welcome to Valley Forge National Historical Park. We're proud to make Valley Forge even more fun and accessible for you and your family. So sit back and enjoy this episode of PECO's Podcast Through History.
Last episode, we saw 3 people involved with letter writing.
There were a lot of letters sent during the 6 months the Army was here at Valley Forge.
Even in mid-February, 2 months into the encampment, letters are still being written that the situation hasn't changed.
One letter was written on February 12, 1778 by General James Varnum of Rhode Island to General Nathaniel Greene about the situation.
Thank you. Well, I sent it. A letter to General Greene. Here's a copy. It's 2 months into the encampment, and the situation is such that in all human probability, the Army must soon dissolve. Many of the troops are destitute of meat. The countryside is exhausted. The horses are dying for want of forage. Desertions are astonishingly great. The love of freedom which once animated us is controlled by hunger, the keenest of necessities. There is no alternative but immediately to remove the Army to places where it can actually be supplied.
Wow, so here's one of Washington's generals who's really worried about the situation.
Yeah, don't forget, the British have captured Philadelphia, the capital. They aren't worried about these things. In fact, they're throwing some pretty spectacular parties.
I wonder what Washington would have thought if he had seen this letter.
It would have been no surprise. He knew how bad things were as soon as the Army arrived at Valley Forge.
Unless some great and capital change suddenly takes place, this army must inevitably starve, dissolve, or disperse. Rest assured, this is not an exaggerated picture. Mrs. Washington, I sent that letter nearly 2 months ago, on December 23rd, 4 days after our arrival.
Yes, dear, and General Varnum is saying that it is now worse than ever.
It is. Since December, 300 men have died. 300 deserted, and enlistments have expired for almost 1,000. As we speak, 3,000 men are unfit for duty.
Now, General, I understand the pressures that you are under, and that is why I am here. You need all the support you can get during these trying times.
Wow, so the Army's been reduced by half, and it's only been 2 months.
And there was no battle fought here during the 6 months of the encampment.
What's going on?
Well, think about it. The soldiers' basic human needs are not being met. General Varnum said it. The soldiers don't have any meat. All the supplies have been used up in the area, and the horses are even dying for lack of food.
Without proper food and without enough clothing, the soldiers are gonna get sick.
And they do. That's a large part of the reason why 3,000 soldiers are unfit for duty.
Mrs. Washington, I have taken measures to address this emergency. I have sent soldiers far beyond this encampment to collect provisions to provide for our pressing wants.
But will this answer, General? What if they return empty-handed?
Dear Patsy, 3 or 4 days bad weather may prove our destruction.
And you have voiced these concerns when you met with the committee from Congress recently.
The committee visited to inspect the situation. I can only hope that they have reported their findings to Congress and will act with all haste on our behalf.
Members of Congress were here? Did it do any good?
Well, the Army has been without a quartermaster general since October.
The quartermaster general is the person that makes sure that the Army has enough supplies to function.
And it's February, and the Army still has no one in this position.
Washington convinced the committee of Congress that the position needed to be filled.
In fact, Washington recommends that General Greene is the only man for the job. And by March, Greene is appointed quartermaster general.
So I guess, looking back, that the visit did do some good.
Well, Mrs. Washington, that is enough conversation for the moment. It has been a very long day, and there are many more ahead.
Why not, General? You seem so fatigued. Might I recommend retiring for the evening?
As always, Martha, you have my best interest at heart. However, I have to review more correspondences before I can retire.
Well then, pray do not tarry too long. The poor General, his spirits are so low, but his birthday is in a few days, and I have something in mind. I have plans.